Thanks for taking the time to come and watch this video on replacing a plug top, or indeed just putting a plug top on. For those of you who've done it before, you'll think that this is very basic, very simple information, and for those of you who have never done it, hopefully it's a little bit of valuable information. Either way, we're going to do it. So here we go. We have one plug top and one piece of flexible cable. First thing we need to do is open the plug top, place it to one side, and then strip our cable long enough in order to fit inside and under the flex grip. So to my estimation, that's about right. We're going to strip the cable all the way around. Some people like to use a knife. I like to use a cable cutter, or side cutters as it's known in the trade. So that, I think, is going to be plenty of cable to keep the flex grip on the protective sheet. Next thing we need to do then is just ensure that our cores are the length that we need them. So we'll snip those back to where we want those to fit inside the plug top. Again, just very simply, because it is stranded cable, twisting them together just to provide that little bit of strength once the screw goes down on the plug top. So, taking the plug top in hand, we will loosen up the flex grip and ensure that when we put our cable in, it sits nice and tightly underneath the flex grip. So moving the flex grip one side, we're then going to insert the cable underneath the terminal screws, making sure that all of the copper strands go into the terminal, and then tighten them away. The brown is alive and should always go to the fused side of the plug. That's very important. We'll talk a little bit more about the fuse in just a second. The neutral, which is the blue cable, will then go to the other pin, which is on the left hand side as you look at the plug. And again, all of the copper all the way through to the terminal and tighten down on the terminal screw. And the next cable, which I would tell you is the most important cable, is the green and yellow. Green and yellow is the earth, and it is the earth that is going to save your life in the event of any fault or any kind of an incident, i.e. cutting through the cable, whether if it's a lawnmower or if any damage happens to the cable. It's the earth that's going to help blow the fuse in order to save you from getting a shock. So always, and I mean always, connect the green and yellow cable. You'll be surprised at the number of people who leave it out because they believe, well, it all works without it, so I'll just leave it out. Don't. Always connect it. So that's all of our cables connected nice and tightly into the terminal. The next thing we need to do is ensure that our flex grip is in place, and you'll notice that the flex grip will be placed on what's called the mechanical protection of the sheath. These cores are known as, in the inner ones, it's the insulating protector, and then you have the mechanical protector. It will always be on the mechanical protector. You don't want to be squeezing down on the insulation protection. You want it on the mechanical. So all I'm going to do is flip that over and tighten up the flex grip. Different plug tops have different types of flex grip, but again, always make use of the flex grip. It prevents the cable being pulled out of the terminals and undue strain being put on the connections. As we all know, loose connections will heat, and the heat of loose connections will cause fires. So anything you can do to aid the connection staying solid, the better. So getting nice and tight on the flex grip. Of course, you don't want to crush the cable too much. You just want it nice and solid so that it won't pull out of the plug top. Okay, let's go back to the fuse. It's very important that the rating of the fuse is correct for the appliance that you're using. A lot of heavy appliances, i.e. kettles and toasters and such like, will have a 13 amp fuse. Lighter appliances will have 3 or a 5 amp fuse. This piece of cable is going into a garden pump, so the 5 amp fuse is the fuse that's been recommended. Always check what the manufacturer recommends. In this case it's a 5 amp fuse, but do not put a 13 amp fuse in for an appliance that requires something lower. So that's pretty much it, all apart from putting our cover on. And again, another important fact is to ensure that the cover fits smoothly all the way around and seals, and then just drive the screw home, and then we have it. So that's our plug top complete. Once again, thank you for watching, and as always, if you're not competent or confident with carrying out any electrical work, please look for the help of a qualified electrician. Thanks again. So for those of you who've put a plug top on before, you'll know where I'm coming from. For those of you who haven't, this will be some new information. And for those of you who... Stop the tape.
That's